Welcome back to the Shop Mini RC, everybody. I'm Ken, and today we are looking at the new Flysky FS-MG7. Now, this is a budget, beginner-friendly transmitter that's got 7 channels. 7. That's a lot of channels. Oh, and the receiver it comes with has a built-in light controller. Blinkers, brake, reverse, headlights, even has a blinky light function. Ha! Let's check it out. All right, let's dig into this guy. Like I said, this is more of a budget-friendly or kind of beginner-friendly type transmitter and receiver. It's under $40. There are a lot of options out there. Even Flysky has some a little bit higher-end options around the $70 or $80 mark for like the GT5, and those are fantastic transmitters. But if you're looking for something small and compact that is really packed with a ton of features, this might be the guy for you. It does run on 4 AAAs. Let me get this stuff out of the way here. Here's your manual. Little quick start guide. Now, this is just a quick start guide, okay? I would highly recommend getting the full manual online. We'll actually link to that in the description below. There is a ton of stuff that is not covered in this manual, so you definitely want to check out the full manual online. It's a PDF. And here's what we come with. Okay, so you can see there's a ton of buttons here. It says 7 channels, guys. 7. Look at this. 7 channels. Oh, we're upside down. And then we've got light controls here as well. And we'll go through and show you everything. Let me go ahead and get some batteries in there and get these guys hooked up to something, and then we can walk through it. Alrighty, we've got our 4-wheel steer C10 plugged in, and let's go ahead and turn her on. Look at all those lights. Okay. The first thing we have here are 2 LEDs. This top LED, the D2, that's for the two-way receivers. There's a ton of different receivers you can use on this guy. I think there's like 12. Here, we'll show them. Yeah, there's over 12 different receivers. 2 of them are actually 2-in-1 combos with ESCs. And some of them have two-way binding, which will allow you to use this top LED to know the voltage of your receiver in the car. So it basically gives feedback to the transmitter, telling you the voltage essentially. And you can see here the chart for that. And then this bottom one, the D1, that is basically the status of your remote. And you can see there is a ton of different stuff here, all shown through this one LED. A little bit of overload. I don't know, they could have probably either added another LED or used the D2 LED to maybe separate this out and give a little bit better indication. I don't know, maybe not. There are 3 different colors, looks like 4 different colors, red, green, orange. Yeah, just red, green, and orange, so 3 different colors. Anyway, you can see this, and yeah, you're gonna have to learn that. That is one thing about this transmitter. There's a ton of stuff packed into it, and they tried to keep it very simple. And so on the surface, it is a very simple, easy to use transmitter. You can just pick it up, use it, get your basic steering trim and dual rate, and your throttle trim and dual rate right there. This is a very similar remote styling to like the FCXs that are coming out, and a bunch of other radar runs use the same casing. Even the new Hummer from FMS, it's got, I think, 7 channels. So it's probably using a similar remote. I don't think it's the same. I don't think they bind together. Donald's Neff, I'll post a link to his video on this below. He goes really in depth on this thing. I mean, he shows every single function and feature and tries binding it to everything. It basically doesn't bind to anything except for the Flysky receivers that are official Flysky receivers. It won't bind to the ready to runs. We all know that the FMS and the Axials use Flysky electronics, but this will not bind to any of it. None of it all at all. Nothing binds to those except their proprietary remotes. So with this guy, we're basically only going to be binding to the Flysky receivers. But there's a lot of good options, and like I said, this little guy does 7 channels, which is not something you find very often. So if you're looking for 7 channels and something cheap, this is going to accomplish that for you. And all the channels are easily accessible. So you've got your channel 1, obviously, is your steering, right? Channel 2 is your throttle. Channel 3 is a left and right. Okay, so you can use that for either like shifting into second and first, if you have shift, things of that nature. Channel 4 is the same thing. It's just going to be a left and a right. Channel 5 is going to be a 3-position, left, center, and right. You can use that for like a winch or if you have a 3-speed. Channel 6 is a momentary. So it's a on and off, on and off. Basically very similar to these, except it's you hold it down. I'll show you that here in a minute. And then channel 7 is to trigger your rear steer. So you plug your rear steer into channel 7 and you've got that. So there's your channel 3 or 4, basically full left and right. Okay. And that is one thing I'm noticing about this right off the bat. Every channel switch has a beep, and I don't think there's a way to turn it off. It would be nice if they would give us an update that allows us to turn off the beeping, because I don't want any noise coming from my transmitter, especially when I'm trying to record a video. It's just constantly beeping. And if you're switching between rear steer, oh, it gets real bad. So hopefully they'll give us an update. This is firmware updatable, so you plug it into your computer, you can update the firmware, and that would be nice. Another thing that would be nice while we're talking about updates would be being able to switch what channel your buttons run on. Because if you don't have a 7-channel receiver, say you just get a 4-channel receiver, or you won't be able to do rear steer because you have to. It only runs on channel 7, and a lot of guys run rear steer on channel 3. So it would have been nice to have this be a 3-position switch, or have them both be. That way we could set them up however we want. But again, it's an entry-level model. It's under $40, and you have 7 channels, which is awesome. All right, so back to the remote here and our different channels. Again, channel 2 and 3 is like such. And I'm going to skip channel 5 for now. We'll go to channel 6, which is that momentary I was talking about. It only goes while you're holding it. So you hold it down and it goes. Our channel 7 is again rear steer. So you basically just click it and it's going to cycle through the different rear steer modes. So front only, your mirror, your crab walk, and your rear only. So that's super, super nice. If you're looking for a rear steer remote that's fairly cheap, this is a great answer for that. But you do have to use this big receiver here. Again, a lot of guys running the micros want to run the smallest receiver they can, which is usually a 4-channel, and then they are not going to be able to run rear steer. So that's, again, super unfortunate, but that might be something they can update with the remote here when we do an update. Maybe, I don't know, I'll be able to switch what channel these buttons go to. They are all labeled though, channel 7, channel 6, channel 5, 4, 3. And obviously our steering and throttle aren't labeled, but all right, so there's all of our different channels. I'll go ahead and show you channel 5, which is hooked up to a winch currently. And you can see there's our winch. Okay, so basic 3-position switch. So we're digging that as well. Again, if you want to run rear steer and a winch and potentially other shifting, first and second gear, you're going to need a lot of channels, and this guy's going to accomplish that. The other cool thing is this one comes with a light kit, essentially a light controller. So you've already probably seen it. We've got our turn signals, right? Now that does activate almost immediately. I really wish that these companies that are doing light kits would not activate the turn signal until it's way further in the turn, because every single little movement, you don't want it to be blinking, and it's really rough when you want to have turn signals or something cool and scale for your more of a actual crawler, and you're making these little micro adjustments and the lights are just blinking constantly. It'd be much better to set that to when it's at full lock. When you're at full lock, then turn the turn signal on when you're at full lock, but don't turn it on literally as soon as there's power. Again, that would be nice to adjust that. If they could have light controller endpoints, that would be pretty sweet. Then we could just adjust it to have it either way. But if you're going to have it one way, I think a lot of people would prefer to have it at full lock, because then you can sit there and turn on your turn signal by going full lock, right? If you don't want to turn on your turn signal, you don't have to. All right, so left and right. We have headlights, and the headlights come on by turning your wheel all the way to the right 3 times, and then your headlights come on. Can't really see them, but they're on. Turn them off again. Sorry, I'm doing it one-handed. There you go, turned off. And then obviously we have our brake lights, and then when you let off, reverse lights. So forward brake reverse. Pretty cool. And then there's one more. If you go left 3 times, you get this blinky light. I don't know what you'd use a blinky light for. It would be nice if this was more just another light that just stayed steady. That way you could have like a light bar. The fact that it blinks, I think Donald mentions it. I don't know why we would want this. I mean, you can see the light I use, like an emergency light, sure, but it would just be better to have it, or again, update the remote so we can set the light stuff. You know, if we could set it to blink or not blink, that would be awesome. But man, I really want a light bar, but I can't really do a light bar on this because the light bar would be plugged into the momentary blinking one, and I don't want my light bar blinking. Because ideally you'd have headlights, turn signals, reverse and brake, and a light bar. But we probably won't be using that, so that's unfortunate. Again, to turn it off, just go left 3 times and you turn off. So the light control situation, pretty cool. I dig it. It's easy to use. Again, it's just full turns left or full turns right to turn on the headlights or the blink light, turn signals, obviously, and then reverse and brake as you throttle. Again, under 40 bucks and you get all that, the light kit, 7-channel, seems pretty good if that's what you're looking for, especially if you're looking for something compact. And if you're looking for an option that can bind to the 2-in-1 combos or just other ANT protocol receivers that they have or that you may already have, it can bind to all of them. So pretty sweet. There is also a beginner mode that basically will turn your dual rate into half. So you have half throttle. When you go full throttle, your max speed will be greatly reduced, which is great if you're going to hand it off to a kid. And that beginner mode's pretty easy to get into. So there's full throttle, full reverse, right? And if we turn it off, hold channel 6, turn counterclockwise, turn it on, let it go through its blinks. Now we let go. Now we're half throttle. So great if you're going to hand it off to a kid or somebody that is new to RC and you don't want them going crazy. That should help save some axle shafts or motors or ESCs. Okay. Another thing, you can pull this wheel off, and there are some grub screws that are coming with it that you can put into here, and that'll adjust your tension and your full lock where your full lock ends up. So you can adjust that stuff as well, which is nice for a small remote like this. One of the things I love about these smaller remotes is that you can throw it into your bag, go crawling. They're plastic and there's no screen to break. So if you drop it while on the rocks, it's going to be pretty durable. We love these things. We've got them on all the ready to runs, not this specific one, but this form factor, all these smaller remotes, all the different ready to runs that come with them. I love it. I try to keep my trucks on those so I can always loan them out. Yeah. And it's just nice to have smaller remotes. The bigger ones like the Axials have, they get kind of clunky sometimes. Now, mind you, they do feel a little more substantial, but you know, the bigger something is doesn't mean the more quality it is. This remote feels fantastic. It feels absolutely fantastic. And yeah, just the foam wheel and the way it feels in my hand. And I've got pretty big hands and it still feels nice. It doesn't feel too small. I really love it. And it's great for one-handed steering, one-handed driving. Yep. I'm digging it. As I mentioned, though, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more substantial in ease of use, but you're willing to go a little higher as far as the deep settings are concerned, then you can go to like $70 or $80 for a GT5, maybe $60 if you find them on sale. But again, under 40 bucks, I don't think you're going to find a more feature-packed remote than this guy, especially with 7 channels. I don't even know if there's anything out there under 40 bucks that has 7 channels. So if you're wanting to do rear steer and a winch, you're not doing it on a cheaper remote, which is pretty awesome. It's good to have options out there, even though a lot of the settings are complicated. And I haven't even touched on them. Like I said, check out somebody else's video. I'm not going that deep into all the settings, but read the full manual, check out the Donald's video, and yeah, you can see all the other cool features there are. Another thing that we'll touch on is you can switch models. It has 5 models, and you switch the models by holding your channel 6 and 7 as you turn it on. So we can hold those 2, turn it on. It's going to beep twice. That tells us we're on the next receiver, essentially, which we're not here. It's not going to work. So we'll go ahead and just turn it on and off to get back to 1. There was 4. There's model 5. We're back to 1. And there we go. So 5 models, guys. That's also awesome. And that's pretty simple to switch between the models. It's actually probably quicker than some of the other remotes I have with screens where you got to go through a menu, go find it. You literally just turn it on and off until you get that setting. It's pretty sweet. Again, just go like this. And now we're on the 5th one. Super quick and easy. Back to our first model. Awesome. I love it. Now, again, when you get into adjusting all the trims and all the dual rates of each channel, that's where it gets a lot more complicated and a lot harder to do on this than on a screen transmitter. But again, look at the price. Under 40 bucks, and you get all those features of a high-end transmitter. Another kind of, I guess it's kind of a neat feature. You can turn on the light on this logo here. You basically just hold down on your channel 7 and then it'll turn on. And you've got a couple different modes. So we're just straight blue there. Now we're a fading blue. It'll fade in and out. Keep holding down 7 and it'll go to the next one, which cycles between the green and the blue and the orangish red. And then we can hold down again. And we'll end up with a blue that indicates throttle. So that's kind of fun. Hold it down and switch again. Now we're just a solid green. And switch again to turn it off. You can also set this to indicate the voltage of the receiver when you have the two-way mode set up. So that's pretty cool. Now, speaking of the 2-in-1, with a series of button presses, you're able to also communicate back with the ESC and change things like the drag brake and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool as well. Your voltage cutoff and all those different things. Pretty neat if you have one of the 2-in-1s that have an ESC built in. And some of the last features of this guy, there is a fail-safe that's basically used if the receiver and signal to the transmitter are lost. You can set where the positioning of the servos will be. It's much more important if you're running like a nitro or something along those lines, but you can set your fail safes. There's also a way to reset all of the functions that you've set up, essentially. You can just hold the bind and channel 7, power it on, and it'll reset all the data. I believe there's 2 ways to reset. Donald talks about that. One is to reset all of it completely back to factory. The other is to reset a model. So definitely check that out if you're interested in that. There's also an idle alarm. So when the transmitter sits for longer than 10 minutes with no operation, it'll give you an alarm essentially letting you know. So that's nice. There's also a sleep mode that it'll go into after 2 minutes, and a voltage alarm for your receiver and a voltage alarm for the transmitter. Again, the receiver one only if it's in the 2-way bind mode. The binding on this guy is super simple. You just basically turn on the transmitter while holding the bind button and also power on your receiver while holding the bind button. You've got to do them both. You can't just do one or the other. Basically turn them both off, hold bind, turn on, hold bind, turn on, and you're good to go. Again, we're going to get out there. We're going to hook this up to something. I don't know if we're going to install it in this. I'm not sure where we're going to install this yet, but we're definitely going to install in something that's got all the goodies on it so that we can take advantage of the transmitter fully, and we'll give you more information on that. So make sure you guys subscribe so that you know when those videos go up and you can kind of see this guy more in action. Right now, I just wanted to show you the basic features kind of in an exploded view where you can see it all, and just kind of let you know it's out there. Another option. Again, it's Flysky quality. It seems pretty good. I don't have any issues with it right now other than the complex button presses to set all your endpoints and your trims that are on the other channels. But if you're not too worried about that and you're willing to kind of dive into that, I think for under 40 bucks, and even the receivers, you can get some receivers for like 15, the 7-channel receivers for $15 to $20, which is really good. It's got the light controller in it. And again, it's 7 channels, pretty nutto. So we dig that quite a bit. All right, guys, I don't know what else to say about this other than if it's what you're looking for, it's a good option for sure. And again, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video with anybody that might be interested in this. And then also hit that notification bell so you know when videos go live. All right, guys, I appreciate all the viewerships. Get out there, build something awesome, build a car, build a course, build a community, and then smash it, crush it, and bash it. But don't break the expensive parts.